Hi, folks. This is Abel James, and thank you so much for joining us on Fat Burning Man, where we talk about how to get real results with really good food. See what I just did there? So, this week we have on the show Jill Miller, and Jill is one of the most fun guests I've had on in quite some time. She's totally off her rocker. You'll see why in a minute, but I think you're really going to like this one. Before we get to the show, shameless plug alert, I want to let you know about something special we just finished up for you. My wife, Allison, was just on the show last week, still getting great feedback from you guys about that show. It's kind of just like opening up the curtains, have to totally be yourself. I might have my mom on the show again too, and it's totally a different feel, but I'm glad you guys like that more intimate look at our lives. So we just finished up filming a new cooking class, a video series for you called the Wild Diet Cooking Class, and since we just launched, you can get it for half off at fatburningman.com/cooking. So we want to show you exactly how we cook at home, not by spending hours preparing intricate and time-consuming meals, but by grabbing a skillet and whipping up an incredible, healthy meal in just 15 to 20 minutes. This ain't no scripted reality TV show. This is literally how we eat at home. Quick and easy, down and dirty. That's how we do it. So here are a few of our favorites that you might enjoy. Chicken Parmesan. I eat this on my birthday pretty much every year. Chocolate cookies. These puppies are taking the paleo world by storm. I think you'll really like them. The Green Monster Frittata with bruschetta. The Perfect Green Smoothie. Power Cookies. Cashew Cream Alfredo with zucchini noodles. Old-fashioned pumpkin bread. The Ultimate Bacon Burgers. And much more. You can get all of these recipes in our new cooking class. And since we just launched, like I said, we're offering it to fans and followers of this show for more than half off. All you have to do is go ahead and type it in to check it out. It's fatburningman.com/cooking. fatburningman.com/cooking. Easy enough. So here's the review of the week for the cooking class. Thanks, guys. This was extremely delicious and easy to make. Oddly enough, chicken parm was my go-to birthday meal as well, and I must say, this is some of the best I've ever had. After being a fat kid my whole life and recently losing the weight, I didn't think I'd ever be able to enjoy chicken parm again and keep the weight off. This recipe changes everything. Coconut flour also works really well in this recipe as mentioned in the video. I think I'll try it over zucchini noodles next time. Keep it up. You two are doing great work. That one is from Chris Nicosia. I hope I said that right. So we spent years perfecting these gluten-free, paleo-friendly, totally real food recipes. We can't wait for you to join us in the kitchen. So as a special thanks to fans and followers, we're offering the cooking class for more than half off since we just launched, but it's only for a limited time. So all you have to do is go to fatburningman.com/cooking now to get the discount and join us in the kitchen. So just so you know, I turned down just about every request for advertising and sponsorship on the podcast and the blog. The way that I keep it free for you is by working our butts off to make products like the Wild Diet Cooking Class that help you lead a healthier, happier life. So if you want to support this advertising-free show, please check out the cooking class. We really think that you're going to like it. One more time, go ahead and type it in now. It's fatburningman.com/cooking. All right, so on to the show. I've been getting a lot of mail from you guys recently about how to improve mobility and recovery. So if you've got some creaky bones, want to improve performance, or just need some ironing out like me, this show is for you. Jill Miller has 27 years of corrective movement expertise that forges links between the worlds of yoga, massage, athletics, and pain management. She is the author of The Role Model, a step-by-step guide to erase pain, improve mobility, and live better in your body, and is the creator of more than 50 DVDs, including Treat While You Train with past guest of the show, Kelly Starrett. On this show, you'll learn how to improve recovery and performance with soft tissue self-care, why family members are the hardest people to ever get through to, why self-abdominal massage is the missing link in everyone's training, how to properly meditate, hint, you should be upside down, and much more. All right, let's go hang out with Jill. All right, folks, thank you for joining us on Fat Burning Man. Today we're here with Jill Miller. Jill has 27 years of corrective movement expertise that forges links between the worlds of yoga, massage, athletics, and pain management. She's the author of the role model, and I've been rolling around on the floor for the past couple of days, ironing out my achy spots thanks to the massage balls that you sent me in the mail. So thank you so much for that. Welcome to the show.
I'm glad you were rolling around. It makes me so happy just to know that there's so many people just grooving around on their living room floor or that back porch, getting all unnaughty and getting unnaughty and nice.
I did some sprints this morning. Usually I get a little bit stiff, especially this is my 7th interview today, so I've been standing here for a while. I know.
Do you have a ball underneath your foot? I'm standing on one of my yoga tune-up balls right underneath my heel right now. Yep, always. I was wondering
if I could do that. I worry because I'm standing on one of those like super comfy mats, so that my feet don't get too tired. And if I rolled it around on that, I wondered if it would squeak, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe I'd be good.
Well, it's not a mouse; it's a ball.
True.
So I don't think it's going to squeak. But what's so great is that you could, for me, because I'm so, I like movement helps me think. And so just having a therapy ball underneath my foot or messing with it with my hand just helps me be more productive. I call it constructive fidgeting. I've always been that way. I used to annoy people sitting next to me in movie theaters because I'm always like, oh, let me try this, find this strange forearm muscle and start doing body work on it or on airplanes. But I find that I stay more alert and I stay more relaxed that way.
Yeah. Well, I'll have you know, I was just standing on one of those balls and my feet.
Oh, you were?
I was. The Alpha, right? The bigger one?
You must have big feet because the Alpha is very large. So I'd love to see your feet.
Maybe it's the one below the Alpha then. It's the single, because you got the doubles, right? And I got 2 of those, like a smaller one, then a medium size, and then I got the slightly bigger one, and then I've got the inflatable one that I haven't inflated yet.
Gorgeous. Yes. So in what we probably sent you was a Treat While You Train kit.
Yeah.
Did I send you that? So there's a video that I did with my friend, Dr. Kelly Starrett.
Past guest of the show. Awesome dude.
Amazing. Founder of Mobility WOD. Just total genius. Magnanimous, amazing human being.
And a lot taller than you. I could tell from the DVD.
I call him my lumberjack. He's so big. And I'm really petite. I'm 5'2". I'm a small human being.
Yeah.
Pint size. So what I was saying something about the balls. So they're all rubber balls and they're different sizes. The smallest ones, which I find are great for the feet, they're called Yoga Tune-Up. The medium size are the plus, and then the slightly larger, slightly smaller than a grapefruit, larger, about the softball size is called the Alpha. So what I'm saying is you must have very big feet because I've got an Alpha right here. Well, you could do some really constructive calf stretching and soleus work. So it would be more, I would say it would be more ankle and lower leg helpful than necessarily the nitty gritties of your feet.
Yeah. Well, I'm just getting started with these guys. So I'm trying not to make ball jokes because I know Kelly has already been there probably 10 times over. You've heard them all.
No, I haven't. That's
really?
What's so amazing. People have their own inner world about balls, and it just starts to come out, especially when they get really relaxed.
Okay. It is a Friday, a couple of glasses of wine. That's when the ball jokes come out.
I just feel like I need to help you because this is your 7th podcast today. So anything I can do to support you and tickle your fancy or tickle your feet.
You are carrying this whole thing. I appreciate it. But anyway, so I think it's so cool to have you on because what you do is one of the most underappreciated things I think there is in the world of health, which is basically doing all of the things that you need to prevent yourself being a crippled mess in your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 80s, whatever. But it was really cool. A few years ago, I'd always done like foam rolling and stuff like that, and it obviously really helps compared to not doing anything or whatever. And then like the roller as well when I was running marathons, the stick, I've heard it called.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. But a few years ago, I got a lacrosse ball and was shown how to use it, kind of the way that you use yours. And I found that it was much easier, obviously, to carry around with me when I was traveling and doing just like sitting on the plane, kind of getting your hands moving like you were talking about before is great for thinking and the brain. And I started using that, but yours are much friendlier. I would have to say.
These are not designed for sport. They're designed for human tissue. So we designed them to be very grippy, which means they take a hold of your skin and create a ton of tissue shear. So they create tissue transition from the top all the way down, which would be the equivalent of a massage therapist not using oil, doing multiple strokes to create a ton of friction. And what that friction does is it helps to create intra and intermuscular stretch in and amongst the many different layers of fascia, to create just to help for improvement of mobility there, and to hasten hydration. So it improves the ability for your cells to eat and drink and to get rid of the waste that they have there. They're also very pliable. And so actually lacrosse balls have quite a lot of grip, but what lacrosse balls and foam rollers don't have is give. They don't have yield. They're very, very hard. And so the yield is extremely helpful because when you're rolling up and against bony prominences, a lacrosse ball just sort of just gets stuck and it will pinch, and it won't actually nestle in or nuzzle into the grooves.
Kind of just snaps back and forth in a really awkward way.
That just sounds so horrible.
Yeah.
So the texture of all the role model balls are able to absorb the jutting prominences of bony prominences, so that the grip can then take a hold of the valuable soft tissues in and around bony junctions or your joints, and stimulate the mechanoreceptors and the other sensory neurons there, so that you get a better sense of, first of all, you get a good rub down there, but you actually start to improve your ability to sense those areas. So they're grippy, they're pliable, and like you said, just like with the lacrosse ball, they're portable. They're super easy to put in your backpack or your gym bag or your handbook or your fanny pack or your pocket if you're really strange.
Yeah. Except for the alpha, that would be.
Depends on how big your pockets are.
I guess that's true. That's
yes. I mean, when I'm teaching and we're, as teachers, we want to have our hands free. And so a lot of times we'll stick our balls in very awkward places inside of our fitness clothing in order to get from one person to another without holding on to a ball. So use your imagination, folks, but it's always entertaining.
It's
therapeutic.
It's entertaining me right now. I can definitely say that. But
therapy.
Why don't we take a step back and talk about why this is important to begin with? Because I think a lot of people, especially who are experienced athletes or whatever, they would never debate that you need to work on the ugliest, most painful parts of your body if you want to keep performing at a high level and recover well. But I think a lot of people who are just getting started don't necessarily even know what one of these balls is or what it would do for you, why you would do it. So let's just give some basics here.
So according to the World Health Organization, physical inactivity is the 4th largest leading cause of death on the planet.
That's crazy.
So that is crazy. And that physical inactivity, I believe, has a lot to do with the fact that we are sitting more worldwide than ever before.
Yeah.
And so I hope you've done a podcast on sitting, so I don't have to go into all the detail on how it destroys your physiology. Have you done that already?
We've touched upon it, but I'd love a little bit more because you can't talk about it enough, I think.
You can't talk about it enough, but sitting is immobilizing certain structures in your body that are meant to help stabilize your spine. So for example, when we sit, you're stretching your butt. Right? So when you're sitting, you're standing right now, and I'm standing right now also. But when you're sitting, your gluteals, and all the other gluteus tissues, all your tushy tissues, they're being lengthened. Yeah. And they're being compressed by your body weight. And so they're getting super stretchy. Now that super stretchiness, it's great if you want to relax, but it's not great if you want to be productive. Inside all of your muscles, you have and inside your entire body, you have this network of fascia. Your fascia is your seam system. It's the soft tissue scaffolding that gives your body its form and shape. It's what your muscle cells rely on in order to be able to push and pull and do what they do. So as you're sitting, you're lengthening the fascial tissues of your buttocks. by the time you stand up, these overstretched fascial tissues and the muscles that they contain don't have as much recoil as they would if you were moving more. So I'm focusing, I'm actually taking a biomechanic approach here, and I'm really focusing just on your tush. I'm not focusing on all of the many other things that can happen with sitting, because this is of great interest to me. And one of my favorite moves I teach people is how to put your butt back on your butt, because by the time you've stood up after sitting for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years with your body weight compressing into that stretched structure, is that your tush has fallen off axis. Literally, the buttocks are not supporting the coxal joint, your hip joint, the way it should. And so we have all manner of weird walking, and we have all manner of funky spinal position from that weakness at our base. And by the way, your base is also where your genitals are. Your base is also where you poo and peep. Excuse me, not peep. I have a new child, so I say all sorts of strange things. But your urination, you know what I'm saying. And so we can have all manner of additional compensatory tightness in our pelvis, in our hip flexors, in our lower back, and down through all the way down to our feet, just because we're sitting all the time.
Right.
And that adds up to one thing, and that's pain. Pain, and more pain. And pain sucks. Pain sucks the life out of you. It robs you of your concentration. It is a parasite. It fosters downward spiral of negative, non-helpful consequences until you decide to interrupt that and make a change and do something about it and literally stand up for yourself. So number one is, yes, stand more, but you also need to treat the tissues and help them to find their way back home, find their way back to their best axis of line of pull, or their best axis of motion production. So that's one of the long-winded stories about why sitting is so destructive. Is it weakens your butt, and when you have a weak butt, you have if you're an aesthetics person, it's not that bouncy round thing. It literally is fallen off to the side, and you're wearing your butt down half of your leg.
And then what happens after that? It's like compounding interest, right? These things where over the course of time, you compensate, and then you compensate again, and then you compensate again, and all of a sudden you're walking like Frankenstein.
And then you're just trying to play catch up, because you don't know why. It's like, okay, my low back hurts, but my ankle hurts, and then this hurts, and then that hurts. And so you're just chasing your tail. Literally, you're chasing your tail. But you're actually not even addressing your tail, because you're like, oh, my ankle, oh, my knee, oh, my lower back, when the real issue is decades and decades of sedentariness from sitting. I look at my mother. I love my mother. I mean, my mother is not she doesn't do the self-practice. I'm obsessed with self-practice. I've been doing stuff since I was 11 years old. I'm an obsessive compulsive type of person. And when I started to get into my body as a tween, it's just been nonstop ever since. But I look at my mother now, and she's in chronic pain. She tries medication after medication, goes from therapist to therapist. And this one can fix her for a while until his techniques no longer serve her. And then the next one and the next one. And it breaks my heart. I'm like, hey, Mom, look, I've got this ball. and she was just here a couple weeks ago, and I was helping her with some gnarly psoriatic arthritis stuff that just keeps popping up all over her body. And of course she felt better when I showed her the techniques and went through the techniques with her. But I can't get her to do them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And but I can get, the people that follow me and do my work. Many of them are just like my mother, but they have a little bit more of that will medicine in them. And it's like, I'm with a confessional. I have this little saying: you can fix your friends and you can fix your foes, but you can't fix your family.
Yeah.
It just totally hurts my heart that I can't get my mom. So maybe if she listens to this, she'll be like, "You just threw me under the bus." But you know what? So much of what
Jill's
I do,
mom. Please just start rolling around on the balls. It really does help. It's coming straight from me. It has nothing to do with Jill. Straight from me. Please try it. It's amazing. And Jill is too.
I'll tell you what though. I did a seminar with Kelly on Creative Live a couple of years ago.
I did one of those.
Cool. Yeah. Hello. Let's shake hands. Let's go Creative Live hug. It was his mobility seminar, Maintaining Your Body. And I did a couple pieces. I did a piece on fascia for him and I did a piece on breathing dynamics. And I demonstrated how to palpate your own diaphragm, which is like, a lot of people are like, what? What? They've never touched their diaphragm before. In fact, I can explain it to your listeners right now. The way you palpate your diaphragm is you softly exhale, you take your fingers and you slide them underneath the border of your rib cage. And as you do that, you then want to push your fingers up against the inside of your rib cage. So your hand is surrounding the lower border of your ribs. And then you can cough or say, ha, and you'll actually feel your diaphragm pushing into your fingers.
Oh, yeah. Totally felt that.
Right? Or just breathe, and you can feel your diaphragm. So I described this, and I showed this on the show. And my mother was watching live. Now, my mother was actually getting an infusion at a cancer center to help her with her psoriatic arthritis. She was getting, I cannot remember the name. It was Remicade. I think it's Remicade. But it's a medication designed to suppress your white blood cells because part of her arthritis is, overreacting autoimmune thing. And so the doctor was like, oh, let's throw you and this. And so she's literally sitting next to cancer patients. She doesn't have cancer. She's got arthritis next to people who are dying. And she's watching the show and she sees me demonstrate this diaphragm contact. So I get off the show and there's a phone message from my mom. She says, Jill, I can't believe it. I touched my diaphragm for the first time in my life. Now, my mother is asthmatic. She's been asthmatic as long, forever. Yeah. Horrible breather, like always getting rushed to the ER at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. when I was growing up. And knowing that I finally reached my mom, like I had to go on quote unquote TV to reach her. So that's why I'm saying this. Mom, I want you to take better care of yourself. The end of story. Thank you, Abel.
Now, why do you think that is? I've had that conversation a few times recently that sometimes, actually a lot of people have written in about this recently too. They can do it. They understand why it works. But when they try to explain it to family or, even if family questions them, ask them, what are you doing differently? What are you eating differently? That translation of information and then habits almost never seems to happen with family. Whereas if you meet a stranger, a lot of times they'll take your advice for no apparent reason. What's the deal with that? I
am not a family therapist. I wish I understood, but it's like your sphere of influence, your role within the family, the power plays. There's so much that goes into like why your parents aren't listening to you, or
I dealt with your dirty diapers. I don't need to listen to your crap.
Or whatever. But what I do love is like my dad's a doctor. My dad loves the alpha ball. And by the way, my dad was not a fan of me being into yoga, which is how I started. How I came to sort of get into my body. Not a fan of what he called obsessive compulsive stretching. I'll let that sink in for a moment. And but he has many manner of musculoskeletal complaints himself and has scoliosis but he's a doctor. Like, so he looks at the world through parts and medicalized and drug this, and he's really good. By the way, if you see him, that is it. Like, if he can't figure it out, you're gone. Like, he's really good infectious disease specialist, but he likes musculoskeletal stuff. He played quarterback in high school.
Wow.
But he's got the alpha ball and he loves it and he sleeps with his. So what can I say? Yep. He places it on in a particular way on his bottom, interestingly enough. And it helps him with sciatic pain and he's able to pass out.
Wow. How cool is that? Mm-hmm. So now what happens when you take someone who has probably never done this before and you start to work on them over the course of the next few weeks? Like, what's going on with their body? What happens?
The first thing that I do when I work with anybody new is I look at how they breathe, because that, 24,000 breaths a day pattern is, for me, is the key into being able to have any of the other peripheral stuff stick. Because if you can't condition your nervous system to accept change, and by the way, change happens when you are downregulated and when you are deeply relaxed. If I can't train them how to turn on their off switch, then rolling the balls underneath your feet and hands and face, I mean, there are benefits for sure. But in terms of, global rework from inside out, really taking a look at your internal patterns from inside out, you've got to address the breath piece. And actually, that's how I met Kelly originally. It's a longer story, but I shared with him the abdominal gut rolling that I did on this grippy, pliable ball, the Coregeous ball, and it blew his mind. He hadn't thought of rolling the diaphragm and attempting to massage the guts in that manner.
Right.
And for him, it answered one of the final pieces of his own asthma pattern. And so we just hit it off right away. And this is where I've started for years, is offering people an approach so that they feel safe in doing it, because it's extremely threatening to all of your biological systems to put deep pressure into your abdomen. Although on Facebook today, I saw a cat massaging another cat's belly, and I was like, why do people get so freaked out about having their belly rubbed? Like, come on, guys. It's so base. It's so primal. It's so necessary. And all the animals and the cats and the doggies get it.
Yeah.
You got to do it too for your health. So
I love that. It was interesting for me personally. I'll just share my own experience. When I was running marathons, training a lot, I was getting semi-regular massages to make sure that I was symmetrical and not botching things up too badly. And for the first time, one of my therapists went like straight to my abdomen. And
I love her.
I know, it was the best. But I was like, holy smokes, how much stuff am I carrying there? All these childhood memories started flooding back. All these muscles I didn't even know that I had started loosening up.
Yes.
It was a very powerful experience in a way that, like, you go get a massage, you can fall asleep. It's usually you can almost ignore what's going on. That was like so needed. It's hard to explain how cool of an experience it is.
Exactly. It is so primal. I mean, that was your connection to your mother. I mean, that's all of our connections to the mother, like Mother Earth, our mother, and then, Mother Ucker, like so much comes up for you when the gut is contacted. It's really vulnerable, right? There's no bones protecting your abdomen. There's just the soft tissue layers. Your viscera are extremely palpable. If you're able to relax your abdominal musculature, the myofascial structures enough, you can palpate each one of your organs and get a sense of its location within your gut. The abdominal region it's like your medicine chest. It's the highest concentration of the most macrophage rich lymph in your body. And if you can do abdominal massage using the Coregeous ball or do specific types of abdominal manipulations, you can help mobilize that lymph north. I have a bit of that in my role model book, a discussion about a study that Lisa Hodge did about abdominal lymph. So it's our medicine chest. It's got this amazing, vulnerability because of its the way we're wrapped musculoskeletally. But it's also a treasure trove of being able to access your parasympathetic nervous system. So your vagus nerve, which is your great downregulation nerve, it's your chief sensory neuron. It's a nerve that runs from the brain stem and meanders through. That's why it's a vagrant nerve. It meanders through every one of your organs. When there aren't a lot of things that mechanically contact the vagus nerve, but when you do mechanically contact the vagus nerve, it turns on your ability to downregulate, your ability to relax. Now, even though you'd been relaxed and massaged before, this direct access route can be extremely threatening. You've got reasons to get up in arms or to protect yourself from letting those special structures be touched. So it actually takes some mental work to be able to allow yourself to create conditions so that you can allow that mechanical pressure to do its thing, to do its work. There was a study recently, I can't remember Dr. Tracy, I think his name was Dr. Tracy. I read about this in the Huffington Post just a couple of months ago. He's doing studies on people with, funny enough, violent cases of rheumatoid arthritis. And what he found was by mechanically stimulating the vagus nerve through some of the branches in its neck, in your neck. So they put a little pacemaker underneath the collarbone, and they attached electrodes to the branches of the vagus nerve alongside the neck. When the patients who had these implants and these were people at their end. They're like, I'm on every type of drug known to mankind. I can't move. I can't walk. Every single person in the study had massive improvement of all their symptoms. Many of them got off the drugs just by regularly stimulating the vagus nerve. And so two things. One is, the vagus nerve helps you to turn on your off switch. It's a great relaxation nerve. But also what this study found was that it killed, turning on the vagus nerve, killed some of the inflammation communication between the brain and the gut. So this has massive implications for people who have, chronic inflammation, that the massage specific to the vagus nerve can help to dampen that overblown chronic inflammation state. So, so avoiding the gut is so silly. In so many ways. And I want to use a bigger word than that, but it's like people need to massage their guts for so many different reasons. I can get into some other psychological stuff about the gut, but I love those sort of new evidence things that are percolating and what might happen. But listen, I'm talking about self-stimulation with a massage ball. I don't have electrodes. I'm not cutting open your neck to stick things in there, but I can use a yoga tune-up ball in a certain position, create a certain mindset, do specific breathing strategies while I'm doing that, and I guarantee you, it changes your entire day. It's literally a reset button, both in the gut, and in these access points in the neck.
Well, so do you mostly use the inflatable larger ball for that, or you use the smaller ones too?
For the gut, I only use the inflated ball.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really, unless you're a clinician and really know what you're digging around for, I would go on the side of using the grippy pressure of the inflated ball. And then in terms of the structure of your abdomen, many people have unknown adhesions there, like you were describing, from overtraining, or from body position, right? Sitting can create a ton of very poor mechanics in the abdomen from lack of movement. And so when you use a Coregeous ball, the Coregeous ball, just like all the other balls, has a ton of grip, but because it's hollow, it doesn't penetrate the specificity of one of the solid rubber balls. And so what you can do with the Coregeous ball is glide it from side to side or up and down, spin in circles. I have 9 different techniques I describe in the role model of how to use the balls on different tissues. And what that will do is it will help enhance the mobility in and amongst the abdominal layers. Your rectus abdominals are really encased in a massive tendon, and the tendon surrounding the rectus is the tendon of the obliques. It's the tendon of the transversus abdominis. And so that area is so sensitive because there are so many sensory neurons there that have become more than likely extremely adhesed and undernourished from poor movement. Some might have scar tissue from gallbladder surgeries or C-sections. And once you improve the mobility, the intramuscular mobility in your abdomen, I think anybody who tries this, number one, your breath's going to improve, your back pain will change. Your posture will change. It's an amazing access tool to help with so many different things. It's so simple.
I love it. So can you take us from someone you've worked on from state that is probably horrible in terms of the way that they move, the way that they sit, the way that they're situated, to over the course of the next few weeks, what does it look like, and what is the end result? Like, what's possible in terms of recovery?
Wow, I'm not a results person. I know that sounds terrible. Like, I'm a process person.
Sure.
I love the process. Like, for me, the end goal is the process, is being present in the process. So I know a lot of people are like, well, what's the point A, point B, point C? You're evolving. So, things change. But one of the great things about this approach and what I do is about mapping yourself, getting to know your body better. So this is my theory. We have these body blind spots. Areas of overuse, underuse, misuse, abuse, or confuse, meaning they're totally confused. We can't sense ourselves. And those blind spots are quite often a precursor to injury, or dysfunction. And so when you start to use the therapy balls, you start to uncover these blind spots in your body, areas where you have not seen yourself through sense, right? So this is a way of increasing your body's sense of itself. And that, in scientific terms, is called proprioception. So it improves your body's sense of itself. And when you use therapy balls in different ways on different body parts, overall, it will continue to improve your ability to map yourself. And when you have a better sense of mapping, you have a better sense of coordination, and you become less accident prone. And thus, you move that pain stick further and further away from your life in terms of that musculoskeletal element. And then in terms of your nervous system, the ability to regularly downregulate yourself to enter into recovery states of healing, also ups the health and well-being meter on your life. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, "Oh, I have pain in my knee," well, I'm going to address their knee. I'm also going to take a look at, well, how are they using their feet and ankles? Because the knee is never just the knee. The knee is just a junction between the hip and the ankle. And of course, the hip and the ankle are interconnected to fascias that are traveling up your lumbar spine and the whole spine. Like, everything is interconnected. It's never just one thing, Abel. Like, what are your results? So the results are that you learn, that you repattern yourself. You learn to connect to proper breathing. Well, how is breathing a problem with my knee? Well, if you look at the relationship of the iliotibial band to the thoracolumbar fascia, which is, I'm naming different famous fascias right now, you'd see that your breathing structures are fascially related to your knee. And if you respect that, and you'll feel it, by the way, when you're rolling with me, you'd be like rolling on the side of your leg. You're like, "Oh my God, I feel something weird in my left lower back." It's like, oh, that's because you're feeling the line of pull, the interconnectedness, and so on and so forth.
So freaking cool.
Yeah, I agree. Like, high five. That's high level anatomy nerdness. And I try to make it fun.
Yeah.
And I create, in the way I teach, I definitely create the hunger for introspection. And so people really get quiet on the inside in order to percolate and to improve their listening skills.
Right.
Because really it is about, I want to empower people to do this on their own. And so in the role model book, or in my videos or my seminars or workshops or my teaching team, we're really good at enticing people to be their own best. The woman in the wild looking at the gorillas, Jane Goodall. We're really good at helping people become their best Jane Goodall. That you are the laboratory and you're also the research scientist.
Right. I love that. We're coming up on time, but I do have one quick selfish question, if I may.
Hit me. Yep.
Which is, we tend not to use furniture that much. We're standing most of the time trying to be active. But when you're sitting to do meditation or, yoga or just sitting on the ground cross-legged, how are you supposed to stack that up? What does that look like from your perspective?
What a great question. So, I've thought about this a lot, and, I don't kowtow to any yoga philosophy. I was having this discussion earlier with some people. Like, I really stepped my way out of certain aspects of the yoga community because I found that people were relying on mystical anatomy and energetic anatomy, and I just didn't buy it. I needed to, when I started looking in cadavers and doing dissections, and was able to see that there are no chakras and there are no, there are no meridians, folks. There's just this chaos of perfectly organized stuff. Anyway, so back to the sitting question.
Yeah.
See, for my money, I want to create conditions for the optimal environment for relaxation to occur. And so for optimal relaxation to occur, there are certain conditions that need to be met. One is that you are actually partially inverted. So sitting meditation, while that's like a great thing to do, actually, if you're on a subway or on a train, and don't want to get mugged, obviously. Yeah, right. But, I can see a place for sitting meditation. But for me, I want to create optimal environments for relaxation to occur. So partial inversion is number one. And that means you're either reclining or you have an object like a block, like a yoga block or a very thick book underneath your pelvis. So it brings your pelvis higher than your heart, which is higher than your brain. And what that's going to do is, again, it's going to turn on your parasympathetics and it's going to dampen sympathetic outflow. And that's a scientific, wonderful thing that I can get into, but not because I'm going to speed through this. So partial inversion, you're breathing. Your exhale has to be longer than your inhale, or the duration of the exhale phase has to be longer than the inhale. So what that means is after you exhale, the time after exhale plus the exhale must be longer than the time of inhale.
Right.
Okay, so there's 4 parts to every breath. You inhale, there's this moment of pause at the end of your inhale, then there's an exhale, and then after exhale, before you inhale, there's a pause. So what you want to do is extend your exhalation and the phase after exhalation. Okay, so number 2. Number 1 is your inversion. Number 2 is the breath. Number 3 is actually mindset. So your mindset, meaning I allow relaxation to occur. You actually have to mentally, whether it's a phrase or it's some subliminal ooga booga sound or whatever, you have to agree with yourself that I am creating relaxation. Okay. Darkness and quiet. So 4 and 5, darkness and quiet. So there you go. So for me, if I'm going to if I really want to meditate, I am going to boost those 5 elements to the nth degree. And I have technique. Well, I mean, darkness is who can master darkness? But you got to build a bomb shelter or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You could put little eye mask on or whatever. Sure. The other thing that turns on the relaxation response is palpation, is touch. And so we use the therapy balls to induce relaxation response to accelerate the qualities of relaxation to help with meditation. Now, you try to meditate when you're that relaxed. That is really hard. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know what style of meditation you do, but whether it's, whatever style of meditation you do, you want to be on the edge of just passing out into, off a cliff, but stay alert. To me, that's meditation. Wow, I like it. Well, thank you. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna go inverted meditation. Yes. That's awesome. I'm digging it. Well, we're just about out of time. Oprah Winfrey. I showed this, I showed 2 different meditation techniques on the Oprah Winfrey Network. And one of them was the inverted one. And then the other one was a seated one that you could do when you're on the bus. Sure. Okay. That's awesome. Well, Jill, before we go, why don't you tell folks what you're working on now, your book, and where they can find you? The book is called The Role Model. a step-by-step guide to erase pain, improve mobility, and live better in your body. And you can find that at Amazon. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, or you can go to therolemodel.com or my website, yogatuneup.com. Right now, what I'm working on is I'm creating a program for 24-hour fitness, which is a massive fitness chain in the U.S., 4.5 million members. And I'm creating a program called Treat While You Train, which will include therapy ball work, breath work, relaxation, and mobility for the masses, Abel. Like, it is time. It is on. This is not a trend. This is healthcare. This is self-care healthcare. And so I'm super excited about that right now.
Jill, I wish we could clone you 1,000 times over.
I'm working on it.
It's been a true pleasure. So much fun. And really, you teach so many things that I think are underappreciated in this field. We need to throw as much energy and attention at what you do as we possibly can. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Ciao.
All right. That was awesome. Hey, this is Abel James from Fat Burning Man, and if you liked this video today, please take a quick second to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now, I have a quick question for you. Do you want to learn how to get fit and lose fat by exercising less? Get the step-by-step strategies for how to do that right now for free. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel right now, then click the link below to fatburningman.com. Enter your best email to sign up for my newsletter, and I'll send you a quick start guide to burning fat right now and some ridiculously good recipes as a special thanks. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now and enter your best email to get your free fat burning download straight to your inbox. Talk to you soon. But this keeps it nice.
There's
and
another
warm,
product,
and it's about the same price as those glass ones. But I broke enough of those
why so many
to
of
go
the
for this
low
one.
carb
It's lasted a long
crowd
time.
are holding on to pounds they don't want to. I felt this when I lost my first 50 pounds.